Meet Dave of Delusions of Grandeur, actor, producer, and director of films like Tales of the Forgotten. He has come to assemble a team of freaks, geeks, and even worse, film nerds, to discuss films ranging from mainstream to downright crazy. There is Tammy car enthusiast and Dave's fiance, Dustin reptile expert and overall horror collector, Jake environmentalist and fine art film critic, and finally Brandon, a therapist with a love of film that can only be seen as insanity. Together under Dave's leadership, they are Inside Movies Galore. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Alrighty, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am your host for tonight because this was my choice for this month's theme, and if I remember correctly, it was I can't believe you didn't or hadn't watched that. And it just so happens that one of the films that was top in my mind that I had actually never watched, and the whole thing about this theme is something that you would be able to tell people that you've never seen, and they'd look at you like, huh? Why haven't you watched that? And I would definitely think that this one is one of those because, as people have been telling me, there are many catchphrases that come from this movie that are like a staple in Hollywood now.
Right.
And I guess they come from this movie. Now, one of the reasons why I had no interest in this movie whatsoever is I always thought it was about sports. And sports bore me to no fucking end. I mean, literally, there is no sport in the history of Hollywood that would get me interested in it at all. Ever. Ever. You cannot get me interested in any sport. And it's not that I'm not a physical person. I have played sports before. They just don't interest me. Sorry, maybe I'm just not built that way to go shouting at a TV and think football scores in my mind or something like that. Just not me. Sorry. And people who do that kind of thing annoy me. So, but that being said, this particular film, let me bring up TV here for a moment, is directed by Cameron Crowe from 1996, and it is written by Cameron Crowe. So,
Dave, did you mention the title? Because I don't remember hearing it.
It was Jerry Maguire.
There you go.
Jerry Maguire is the movie that we are about to talk about that I had no interest in before bringing it up for this theme. Although I had picked up the movie specifically because I had not seen it yet, and I guess you could say I'm getting to the point where I kind of want to see movies that I haven't seen. Not that I'm interested in them, but just to say that I've watched them. So, um, it came up that we needed a movie that everyone would turn around and look at you point blank and say, "Holy cow, you haven't seen that?" So, but the film stars Tom Cruise, Cuba Gooding Jr., Renee Zellweger, and this is what IMDb says about the film. When a sports agent had a moral epiphany and is fired for expressing it, he decides to put his new philosophy to the test as an independent agent with the only athlete who stays with him and his former colleague. So, that being said, let's go around the room, see what our first impressions of this movie were. So, let's start, ladies first. Was this the first time watch for you, Tammy, with Jerry Maguire?
No, I've seen it at least one other time. Um, in a way, it kind of I remember I kind of ended up watching it kind of for almost the same reason we just watched it because I knew a lot of people had seen it and I just, like I said, never got around to it, and for some reason it was on someday or whatever quite a while ago, but it was just like, oh, I never seen this one. Okay, I'll watch this, you know. And that's how I ended up watching it the first time. But kind of like our same theme though. A lot of people had I had heard people talk about it, and I knew about the catchphrases and stuff over the years and everything. So, um, and it was that was kind of neat in watching it, is because I already kind of knew some things about it and kind of knew about the catchphrases, so that when things happened in it, it was like, oh yeah, that's what everybody's talking about. Oh, okay, now I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. It's definitely um, kind of like a moving type of a movie. It's just you're going through this whole thing with Tom Cruise's character, Jerry, and I personally had no idea these what about anything about his job, or knew what these people that do his job go through, or what they or anything like that. I'm not a big sports fanatic either. I I I'm from Wisconsin, so yes, I watch the Packers at times, and yes, I have gone to Packer parties before or whatever, but that's about it. I don't get into any other sports or watch any other sports. I just watch the Packer games here and there. So, um, but yeah, I think it was I think it was really good movie though. It's I mean, if you didn't know anything about what these sports writers and stuff do, like I said, I didn't either. It's like the behind the scenes of what they do is really intense. It seems like, and really cutthroat on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and it kind of seems like a lot of them really actually don't care about these players either, which comes to the heart, kind of the heart of the story. So, but Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. You know, it kept me interested. So I mean,
Okay.
I'd watch it again.
Alrighty. Alrighty. Let's head over to you, Jake. Was this the first time watch for you?
No, it wasn't. I'll be honest, I cannot remember the circumstances of my first watch. I feel like this is probably, if I had to wager, at least my third watch, maybe fourth, but I don't think more than that. And it's been a long time. It's been a while since I last saw the movie. And I actually did go ahead and purchase a Blu-ray because this gave me an excuse to watch it again. And I was like, I'm trying to convert my DVD collection to Blu-ray. So I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and convert this one. And yeah, I'm pretty glad I did. It takes up a lot less space now, but but I cannot remember. I know I knew of this movie. I am of a generation that absolutely knew about this movie. And I will say that of the four we've done this month, if I were to give an honest opinion from my vantage point of the movie that most fits the letter of the month, this is it. This is the one that I would look at someone and blankly go, "You have not seen that movie?" Even though American History X is pretty high up there. But this one is definitely anyone in my age group, up through Brandon's age group, probably up through Tammy's, who did not see this by now, I'd be surprised. And honestly, Dave, I was surprised you put it forward that you said you avoided it because it's a sports movie. I know you've made comments.
I avoided it because it was a sports movie. I also avoided it because this was the moment right before Tom Cruise went weird.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking weird.
Well, yeah, and that's part of the reason I think
I'm
why.
also not a fan of Renee Zellweger entirely.
Clearly. More on that in a minute. But I honestly thought that when you said that you had not seen this, I thought based on comments you've made in the past that you were avoiding it because it's a romantic comedy. But
no, I love romantic comedies. In fact,
okay, I thought you said you didn't. Okay.
One of my favorites was with Hugh Jackman and Meg Ryan.
Hugh Jackman and Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
Which one was that one?
This one where he's from the past and he's jumps the London bridge and comes forward in time and meets her.
Okay. I think I know which one you're talking about, but I can't place the title. Anyway, so with this one, again, I knew of it. It was a couple of years before I really started watching the Oscars, but it was like I was old enough to know of them and to start hearing what was nominated. This famously was the movie. One of the reasons this movie is so famous is because of the so-called Oscars curse. And a lot of people put Cuba Gooding Jr. up as Exhibit A of the Oscars curse. Because he did win, and then his career kind of sputtered afterwards. But, and as you said, this is shortly before Tom Cruise went batty. So he was still a huge star. I think IMDb said something like this was his fourth consecutive #1 movie, something like that. Like, he was a huge star. I think this was the follow-up to Mission Impossible. But I think I may have actually watched it a little bit later, because I may have watched it in the wake of Almost Famous, because that was the movie that Cameron Crowe followed this one up with. And I freaking love Almost Famous. And if there was, this is actually third on my list of Cameron Crowe movies where I would look at you and go, you're kidding, right? Almost Famous would be number 2. Fast Times at Ridgemont High would be number 1. Yeah.
I've never
Although
seen,
you really just wrote that one.
I've seen Almost Famous. I have not seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
Wow, that's one that is like, wow.
Yeah. That could be one for the awesome 80s, awesome August, whatever. But anyway, so, and like I said, technically written by Crowe. I think, was that Nora Ephron that directed that one? I think. But anyway, but this one, like I said, I might have watched it after seeing Almost Famous. I might have watched it first. I can't swear to it. But I do know that based off of those two movies, and I was really stoked for Vanilla Sky when it came out. For a hot minute there, I was a big Cameron Crowe fan. Although I've never seen Singles or a couple of his others, so I was a Tom Cruise fan at the time. And circling back to what Dave said, I am not the biggest fan in the world of Renee Zellweger. I believe the Oscar she won was not for the role she should have won for. But
She should have won.
I used to think, what's that?
She should have won for Punch Drunk Love.
She wasn't in Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, wait. That's right. She wasn't.
No.
Trying to think. There wasn't much.
That'd have been very weird if she'd won for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have really pissed off Adam Sandler.
There's an actress that plays opposite Adam Sandler in there that reminds me of Renee Zellweger in there.
But anyway, I will say this. It's neither here nor there, but it did influence my viewing. And that is that when this movie came out, I believed that she was one of the most attractive women alive. And I absolutely was watching her movies. And that may have been why I picked this one up. I can't swear to it. There are any number of reasons. I don't know. I just know that I did see it. It's been a while. It was fun to revisit. And I'm coming at it from a very different viewpoint than what I used to have. And I think I appreciated bits of it that I maybe didn't as much back in the day. As far as just on sports movies, though, I'd circle back to what Dave was saying. I am weird about sports movies because the strange thing is I really enjoy them. Even though I don't give a shit about sports, I really don't. I could give a shit about sports. I appreciate the history that the Celtics recently made. I appreciate certain things that went along with the World Cup that, why it may have had outside influences in certain ways. And if there are any soccer, football fans listening, I'm not knocking you all. I am just not a fan of the sport. But I do love sports movies, and some really good ones have been made. And this isn't really a sports movie. It's just a movie that circles around and is in the back. It's a backrooms sports movie, you could say, which is interesting. You don't see very often.
Kind of reminds me of what Moneyball was.
Well, yeah, a little bit like that. Although I thought Moneyball was more overrated than this one was. I think this one's overrated. I thought Moneyball was really overrated, but it was still good. Still really good. But also on your comment, Dave, I will admit, sports fans amuse me. When I saw this was probably when I was in college. and I had friends who were fanatical with sports. And while I don't enjoy listening to them talking about like the cooler conversation the next day, I have two coworkers who are fanatical hockey fans, and I wish they would just put a cork in it sometimes. But if I was sitting there watching a hockey game with them, I would probably sit back, crack open a beer, and enjoy that show. You know what I mean?
It cracks open the conversation about Wayne Gretzky and.
That's what I'm saying. If they're talking about that, yeah. But the way they react to what's going on screen is sometimes more fun than what's going on screen.
The way that our resident Englishman reacted to golf on TV when I was at Tabor in Roanoke, you would think he was watching the most exciting sport alive. The way he was yelling and cursing and all that stuff. Being a golfer.
Right. But anyway, so that's enough of that. But I will say that a movie about an agent could have gone either way. But I really like and appreciate that it's about someone, and this is probably one thing that I appreciate a lot more now than I possibly could have in high school or college. Someone who is at that point where he realizes that he has lost touch with why he is doing what he's doing, and he actually has the nerve to go put himself out on the limb, and yes, he ends up getting shit canned for it, but he deeply inspires this one person who ends up becoming, very important to him in many ways. But he also ends up actually getting back to roots, back to basics, and getting back to a life that means something. And so I do like the basic premise of the movie that I, again, probably appreciated more now than I did when I was younger. And I don't know if anyone else looked at this or had the option. The Blu-ray I had, Cameron Crowe actually wrote that mission statement. He actually wrote it out, all 45 pages of it. And the Blu-ray that I have has it as a bonus feature. So I actually read the mission statement. And that was pretty interesting. It was like, you get snippets of it in the movie, but, nothing major. But if y'all haven't, and you can look at that, it's worth looking at. It's a very interesting mission statement, and a lot of stuff I admit I agree with. So it's pretty cool. And of course, being a Cameron Crowe movie, it rocks an awesome soundtrack, So there's a lot of good stuff to it. I really did enjoy revisiting it. I do still believe that the movie is a little bit overrated. It probably didn't deserve to blow up quite as much as it did when it did, but it did. And it's certainly a really good movie that, like I said, I'm glad to have an excuse to come back to it.
Okay. Heading over to you, Brandon. Was this a first-time watch for you?
I don't know. Show me the money, Dave.
Help me. Help.
Let me hear you sing.
I meant to mention that was actually one of the classic Saturday Night Live Celebrity Jeopardy sketches had the so-called Tom Cruise on it. And I remember that. Help me, Alex. Help me. Help you.
So
You're a funny motherfucker.
this was not a first-time watch. Matter of fact, out of all the ones this month, this is the only one that I have seen before. But I would say that out of 3 out of the 4 of the movies of this month, I would say to anybody, I can't believe that you haven't seen that. If you are a movie geek, if you're just some casual dude who watches movies on occasion, then maybe not. Though this would be the one that I'd say if you were around during this time period that it was out,
This is the only one this month I've seen too. So
So, you know, I think that this is the one that would be like a, wow, you were around when this came out and you didn't see it? Even to a casual viewer, that's pretty surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But that considered, I haven't watched it in over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I watched it because my DVD's been watched.
Yeah, it's 30 years old this year. Think about that.
this movie's that old?
96.
Wow.
Yeah,
Does that make you feel old?
yeah, very much.
But, you know, I look at this.
You poor old people.
It was a fun watch. I mean, me and Kim sat down and watched it last night, and it is a fun watch. I really did enjoy the performances. Again, when you haven't watched a movie in so long, you remember pieces of it, but unless you've got an amazing memory.
Mm-hmm.
And as I am getting closer to 50, not quite 50 yet, my memory isn't what it used to be. So parts of it were basically like watching a new movie again.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember a lot of those scenes. Like I remember the "Show Me the Money" scene. I remember the "You Had Me at Hello." I remember all of that. Of course, those are phrases that are repeated, especially at the time, repeated constantly.
Right.
And some of them are still in the lexicon. I mean, "You Had Me at Hello" is definitely in the lexicon. Still.
But was
those
this the first movie that actually had that in it?
Yeah. Supposedly, "Help Me Help You" was a direct reference to Misery, but the other two, according to IMDb, Cameron Crowe credits the football player who loosely was the inspiration for Tidwell with coming up with the phrase "Show me the money." Apparently, Crowe borrowed that from him. So, yeah.
I want to say this is also the one where "You Complete Me" was originally in there.
Yes. Which has been referenced several times.
But if you think about it, this movie is 30 years old. So for many of us, we were quite young when this came out. So many of us who have been hearing these phrases for a lot of our lives probably weren't thinking about them before that when the phrases weren't being used.
I was roughly 13, 14 years old, maybe.
So all you kiddies, the Joker was not the first one to say "You complete me." Although that was hilarious.
I was still in grade school when this came out, so.
Well, but solid film, solid acting on all parts, in my opinion. I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr. did deserve his nomination for it. I'm not sure about the win, but definitely the nomination.
Right.
And as
Did
far
he
as
deserve the curse that came with the win?
well, that remains to be seen. I ain't done his life. I couldn't tell what he did. Did he step on 15 black cats? You don't know. He might have. That could have been a pre-movie ritual. Just every time. Just
Yeah, that would be horrible.
But
all I know is his wife was something in there.
But yeah,
Actually,
really.
Yeah, that was a connection to Malcolm X because his wife is played by Regina King, who failed that audition. But we talked about, she went on to direct a movie that had Malcolm X as a character, and now we have a movie that she's actually in.
I think, though, overall, this is a great movie when it comes to character writing, because this takes a number of characters and it utilizes the writing to develop these characters from people who are less than what they are at the end. I mean, you can see that development with all of them. I mean, even our female lead, there is a large amount of development for her. It's not as big as the other two, but there is definitely, you see her self-confidence, you see her understanding of her own worth go up.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, you have the cute kid that's in several things past this.
Jonathan Lipnicki. He was like him and Haley Osment, and like one more maybe, where like the kid. You see a movie in that time period, that was the kid.
Yep. he definitely was the kid for a while. I want to say was
the crap out of me, but I actually like him in this movie.
He almost looks like Fuller in Home Alone, even though it's not him.
Right.
But I mean, Dr. Dolittle, Stuart Little, Dawson's Creek, Little Vampire, Like Mike.
Yeah.
Like Mike is definitely him.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was a show, and I want to look it up. I feel like there was a show that I used to watch that he and Haley Joel Osment starred in. Are you looking at the cast list?
Well, I was just looking at his
right.
IMDb.
Was there one on there called Thunder Alley? Am I remembering that correctly?
I know of the show, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I feel like it was Ed Asner.
He's on the Jeff Foxworthy show.
That might be no. There was.
Then of course there's Dawson's Creek, but he was only in there for 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Ooh, Touched by an Angel.
Oh, this was his first ever credit.
Yeah. Well, he was really young. I mean, he was only like 6.
Well, he was. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, shoot, Like Mike, there's one that you kind of had to be growing up at the time to understand.
Yeah.
Even for me, that was a bit too young for me, so I never watched it.
It must be the Jeff Foxworthy show that I saw him on. Good to know.
That's all I've got to say about that, because it was a good film, a solid one. Good choice, Dave. I agree with Jake that out of all the ones, if there was one that an average layperson, you would come up to them and say, "What the heck? Why haven't you seen that?" Out of the 4, it would be this one, because I definitely wouldn't say, "Man, you person on the street, why haven't you watched American History X?"
I'm sure there have been other ones, and we've covered a lot of the ones that I did not watch this month. So,
like I say, if we had hit this particular one early, there are some that I mean, I know Jake has encountered some with me that he's like, "What the heck?"
Although Malcolm X was one that I had accomplished watching much earlier. Right. American History X was always one that the young people, or when I was in group sessions with people, they would be watching it.
I mean, there was always that phrase where we like to emulate the curb stomping, you know.
I joked last week, or on the last pickup video, that one of the I can't believe you haven't seen that movies could be Snakes on a Plane. Apparently, Chad the Nanny starred in that movie, as well as two that I would put on that list. High Fidelity, without question, I would put on that list. And I would also say Thank You for Smoking. Apparently, he was in both of those movies.
Actually, David and I were talking about that before we went on air. When we were talking about Thank You for Smoking, which he had said was too boring to go into, but I remembered.
Yeah,
but that was one
I love that.
Is one not only what I say would be one I could have bought the soundtrack for because it was so good, but that I actually did buy the soundtrack for because it was
I remember that, yeah.
But
it's a good one.
In any case, as far as this movie is concerned, good choice. Great to revisit. Glad that you finally gotten to see it. And we can
I'm not sure whether seeing it made my education better, but it was an okay movie. I mean, I'm glad that accomplished watching it, and happy to say that I've actually seen it now. So there is that. But that being as said, we've kind of skated over what the movie is about. I'll give it a small rundown without covering it beat for beat. It's about a sports writer who ends up having an epiphany, realizing that he was a bad person and doing everything all wrong, and decides to write a manifesto of sorts, a 25 pager to be exact, or so. And when he publishes it and hands it out to all of his coworkers, turns out it was a bad move because he was turned around and fired. But then he turns around and uses his manifesto words on the only client that'll stay with him, and the accountant employee that walked out of the room with him at his final walk through of the place that he built. And ultimately, as Brandon and I were somewhat discussing before, ends up being kind of a bromedy. I would call it a bromedy because technically it's about two guys who kind of bond over relationships and overcoming attitudes and basically building each other's confidences back up where he's the one guy, he's got to learn to control himself in order for him to be a likable player, whereas him as an agent, he's got to learn and grow as a person, so that he can emanate exactly what he stands for into the other guy, and ultimately somewhat about learning how to love, I guess, in a sense. So that's pretty much the movie without doing it beat for beat. But did we want to touch on any well, there are definitely catchphrases that stem from this movie. How many catchphrases are there, and could you do a drinking game involving them when they come up?
You probably could, although probably not as successfully as I think it was last week before. We were watching Jurassic Park as a tribute to Sam Neill, and I got the idea that if you were to do a drinking game where every time Hammond says "spared no expense,"
Yeah.
He does say that a lot, doesn't he?
But but yeah. So let's see. This one. Well, it starts with kind of a voiceover of like just setting the scene, introducing what's going on, and I think it goes right into that night in the hotel where he writes the manifesto, kind of at the end of that voiceover, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they have that scene where that actually triggers it with the one hockey player.
Ah, yes.
He's like encouraging him to get it right back in the game when the kid is like, "What the heck? No."
Yeah, didn't he? He says like his fifth concussion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, oh, and there's also this sort of like his the nurse or doctor or whoever is like, do you know who you are? Do you know where you are? And whatever. And he looks around and he's like, I see my wife and his kids.
Oh, that's my agent.
Yeah, well, he has to think about it. He's like, and that's my agent. Yeah. And it's like, Jerry's like, okay. But yeah. So they kind of setting the scene early about how they've kind of lost that human connection. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, but after he does the whole, well, he calls it a mission statement.
Right. Everyone's calling it a memo, and he keeps correcting them. That could be the drinking game. But yeah.
But he ends up getting fired by one of the guy up and coming dudes.
Well, it's a little sneakier and crueler than that, because first of all, he walks in and everyone applauds him. Like everyone's giving him like this. They're all clapping. You're saying what we all wanted to say, all that stuff, and then you see two of them kind of like, how long do you think it'll last? I'd give them a week. And one of those coworkers was Donald Logue, pre-Gotham. He's vaguely familiar, but and then his friend. Well, they also have the engagement party first. I think.
Actually, that one was really like, and the intense sex scene beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Yes, what was that? Where we're introduced to his fiance, John Travolta.
That's after we are introduced to Renee Zellweger and her son on the airplane.
We do see them.
You do see like I think at the time that was the best fiance for him as far as personality wise. They fit well together, especially when you look at all the girls talking about him and not really being more than just a friend, not really being able to get intimate or all that. And really, sadly, though she has a terrible personality, she fits him perfectly there.
Yeah,
and really and honestly, she had a beautiful body from behind and the side boob angle, but
indeed.
But
Yeah.
that
Well,
being,
yeah.
as said, she had
They do have that engagement video where I guess they were probably figured they were just kind of roasting him for a laugh, whatever. But you see them sitting there and he's like, is this really how people see me? Like, I don't think it even occurred to him that that's, But yeah, and Bob Sugar, his bud, who's played by Jay Moore, another guy that was in all the movies for about 3 or 4 years there. He's right there with him at the party and everything. And then he takes him to lunch and fires him. It's like, well, okay. What are friends for, right?
Now, I know people always talk about Nicolas Cage for his like weird freak out stuff that he does in movies, but Tom Cruise can be just as crazy and manic when he wants to be on the screen.
Right.
And this is a good example of that, where he goes off and he takes a freaking goldfish with him.
Right.
After he finds out that he basically loses all of his clients to sugar except for the one.
Right.
Well, technically, he finds another one temporarily. But,
Well, yeah. So there's like this, when they get back from lunch, he marches straight into his office, takes out his Rolodex and starts, calling everyone. And Sugar's right there behind him, talking to everyone the same way. And supposedly Sugar is loosely based on an actual agent. And yeah, he's the kind of person that gives these kind of people a bad name. Let's put it that way. But
He's a
And
snake, at least.
Jerry does end up on the phone with Rod Tidwell, and Tidwell is high maintenance, to put it kindly, and
kind of a drama queen.
And a drama queen, yes. But part of the reason why Jerry is able to keep him is because he takes the time to put up with Tidwell's crap. Even though it ends up basically costing him every other client at that moment, he still manages to keep the one. And partly it's also because his wife had more respect for Jerry than for most people in that field, which is a low bar that she has. But
well, he put up with that. He put up with the bratty son. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, he does get the Rod Tidwell character,
yeah.
But he also, for a time, like Brandon said, gets another booker, and he kind of like swipes Rod Tidwell for the other guy,
which is understandable because he's trying to rebuild, and the one guy already has it established.
Yeah,
he is also white.
Well, there is that, but he was also an established star.
Yeah.
And I think he used the term marquee name, and Rod looks at him like, oh, I see. It's like.
And I'm wondering if this is right after Jerry O'Connell had just played Sliders, which was a great sci-fi.
Well, he was also big in the late 90s. He was in a lot of movies then. He often played kind of jocks or sporty kind of characters, that was sort of his shtick, I guess you could say, although he did it well. But we should say, like, I think Brandon kind of touched on, or I think Brandon was the one that touched on, basically Jerry kidnapped a goldfish from the office when he left and freaked out a little. But like he does that whole thing where he goes out on the floor and just tells everyone, all right, who's with me? And he gets crickets. And then he goes to his secretary and he's like, all right, come on. She's like, I'm about to get a pay raise. And he's just like, oh. And he grabs the fish. And then Dorothy, Renee Zellweger's character, stands up and says, I'm with you. And walks out, and
all because of that manifesto, essentially.
And she's all worried about on the way. You're going to pay me medical, right?
Right. He made a very impulsive move, but yeah, she was the one who truly took his words to heart. Everyone else was like, "Oh man, I wish I could say that."
I remember the sister playing in Jumanji beside Robin Williams as the adult version of the kid that grew up with him in there. But she did. I liked her in the role of the sister.
Yeah.
Oh.
I forget her name.
Well, it's Bonnie Hunt, and
yes.
I can't remember if she's Helen Hunt's older or younger sister. I can't remember, but they definitely do look a bit alike. Or no, let's see. Anyway, maybe I was wrong about that. I could have sworn they were siblings. Could have sworn they were. Maybe I was wrong about that. Anyway. And then you had what was the other thing I was going? I don't know. Oh no, they are unrelated. Never mind. Why did I always think they were sisters?
Maybe because they had the same last name.
Well, no, they do look a little bit alike, But so she was the one in the Green Mile. I was remembering that correctly.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
was a fun one. But anyway, yeah, like I said, a lot of these people were very much in the scene in the late 90s and early aughts. So you see them in a lot of good movies. But yeah, and before the scene that you mentioned with Cush is the nickname of Jerry O'Connell's character, Frank Cushman.
Mhm.
His old man is apparently
A bridge.
the three of them, Cush and his old man, have a history with Jerry. Like this is actually one of those personal connections that apparently that he still had, which is why he drives all the way out to, was it Texas, I think is where they were.
Yeah.
And he's like his father's like, well, we decided to go with you. We said that if you came out here, we would go with you.
And I don't believe in contract. Contract.
We go with the person
But
who
my
got
word
here.
is my bond. So
Yeah,
here we go.
my word is strong as oak, I think is what he said, or stronger than oak. And and then we at the hotel scene we find out that he's not really talking about the kind of oak we usually think about.
It's kind of oak that claim is oak by IKEA.
And he certainly, definitely got a lot of Reebok shoe boxes in that hotel room.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Yeah.
But as we know, he finds out that the father and the so-called player, played by Jerry O'Connor, or O'Connell, has been two-timing it with his buddy, and actually signed a contract.
Yeah.
And that's when he finds out that he's lost his client. And so he thinks that he's hit rock bottom, and that he's going to go nowhere, that he's not going to make any money, that he's never going to amount to anything. So he gets drunk. And I think he ends up over at Dorothy's place. And if I remember correctly, I mean, he has another cute moment with the kid during this whole process, and
we kind of skipped how when they got back on the plane, they ended up sharing a car, I think it was.
Yeah,
and I think that was where he really met the kid, and where Dorothy found out that he actually knew who she was, which surprised her.
Yeah, and he actually knew who she was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because she was in his accounting department.
Yeah.
But so she is having a conversation with her sister, because her sister her sister's kind of a piece of work, because she actually gets together with this group of ladies who are man haters.
Well, it's a divorced woman's group, so yeah, most of them are a little burned out, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they spend each other's time just hating on men in general, because men are the enemy as far as they are concerned. So yeah, it's a man-hating group.
Her sister seems very, very overprotective too. So.
She's also very sarcastic.
Yeah.
And unmarried.
Yeah. Or divorced, I mean, if she's running a divorced woman's group, they kind of don't really go into that, I don't think.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
But so she's having like these doubtful conversations with her because
Oh,
she's like the voice of reason.
that's why. Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to place. We were talking about the Cushes a minute ago. Cush's old man is Matt. Is played by Beau Bridges. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought he looked familiar, but he was uncredited.
I said
so
he was a Bridges.
Yeah, it's like he was uncredited apparently, so it took me a minute to find that. It's interesting.
Yeah, because there's
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges, Beau Bridges, and I think there's another brother too.
Right.
In there somewhere.
Twins
And
of Lloyd.
sometimes it's hard to because they look alike as they grow older, you know.
Yeah, they look alike and different, as siblings should.
Rusty Bridges.
Yeah, but
all right. So,
and by the way, talking about like random people who show up in the movie, one of the women in that group apparently is Cameron Crowe's mother.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. But
Right.
in any case, so the sister is actually kind of for him at this moment because he's good looking, number one. So she's listening at the door in the conversation when she comes into the kitchen to grab some drinks. And so, in a sense, the sister is kind of like dropping her jaw and like admiring him and whatnot. And so I think she's kind of pushing her sister to have a relationship first of all.
Well, she's pushing her to be very, very cautious, though.
That too.
Yeah. And we should also mention that another woman in the group is Hendon Welch, the person who plays Princess Bubblegum in Adventure Time.
Oh, really? Connections everywhere.
Yeah.
Small world.
There's a lot of people in this movie.
It's a small world after all.
Now, if you're talking people that are maybe a little less than kind-hearted toward others, you got Bubblegum. She's but anyway.
Anyways, yeah. So let's
Yes. But
so
we do find out like one of the reasons her sister's so overprotective is because Dorothy apparently married very young. And apparently her husband turned out to be a bit of a douche, but didn't live very long either. So it's like, they don't really go into specifics, but it's kind of like, yeah, she's a widow and she lived through a rocky marriage and she's very young and has a kid. It's like, there's all these like things that her sister's like, you just need to be careful next time.
Well, and was it during this whole kid moment that he actually that the kid actually kissed Tom Cruise, or was it another moment?
Well, I think the night
Later.
he came over drunk. They were like in the kitchen talking, and the kid was supposed to be asleep.
Yeah,
and he came in, and they were having a chat, and
he was trying to tell him about his father, and I don't think it was working, but it was a cute conversation, anyways. A cute kid moment.
Right.
As cute kid moments go.
You're talking about
the kid like what's that?
The night that they went out for that date before they left is when the kid kissed them.
Okay, gotcha.
The kid, we keep calling him the kid, but what was his name again? It was Ray.
Yeah.
Ray glomps onto Jerry. He just immediately takes to him, and obviously Dorothy Dorothy's happy about that, and Jerry's kind of like gratified, like, whoa, what's with this kid? He's so friendly. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Ray
In
even took
fact,
to him when they first met at the airport because right away he grabbed his
Right.
hand and he grabbed Dorothy's hand and he was doing the "let's swing me" thing, you know. I mean, even the very first meeting, Ray took to Jerry.
yeah,
Right.
he definitely took to Jerry. And I think Jerry took to him because he and him got like really chummy. But that's kind of like a good thing. In fact, that's kind of why he ended up deciding to um, propose marriage to Dorothy later on. I think that was the underlying reason why he did, because the kid kind of put him in his place, and
Well,
as say he was ditching them, or not ditching them, letting them go, so
that
to
was
speak.
part of it. I think he
I
sort
feel
of,
like it was a guilt trip thing, is why
yeah,
he proposed the marriage.
he sort of panicked and didn't really know what the proper course of action was.
Yep.
Yeah. But,
So we need to talk about what led up to that, though.
yeah.
So of course, from a client perspective, he's got to mold and shape the career of Rod, um, to make him successful. And one of the things he's got to do is renegotiate his contract. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the manager that is managing Rod, he's kind of a penis.
Well,
So
the team owner, I think, wasn't it, or the coach, whatever.
yeah, he
Yeah.
wouldn't renegotiate really at all. Partially because Rod has an attitude problem.
Well, and
That's a
his
big part of it.
size. A lot of his personal size really is keeping him from advancing,
Yeah.
whereas people who are much bigger than him tend to get the run because of football in general.
Yeah, he is a small dude by football standards, by the standards of that position, and that, and the owner. We'll go with that, or I'll go with that just in case. he he says that straight up, like he's small, but mostly he just talks about him having the attitude. That's the big thing. And that guy is yeah, I'm just drawing a blank on names here.
Yeah.
But by the by, did anyone recognize that guy? Dennis
Mm,
Wilburn, that's his name.
no, I didn't recognize him.
Tammy, you're our classic rock guru here. Did you recognize him?
No.
Apparently, it was Glenn Free of the Eagles in a rare acting role.
Glenn Fry?
Yeah,
Oh.
Fry, yeah. I didn't realize it either. And then I was like, oh, wow, that's something. But Crowe has a long history. He used to write for Rolling Stone, and actually Almost Famous was largely based on his early life. So he has contacts all through the music industry. So I just thought that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, wow. And there's like a scene where the Cardinals are facing the Eagles, and he like walks out right then. And it was like, that had to be intentionally ironic, It's kind of fun. But I just thought that was fun. I was like, wow, I didn't know he acted. But it's not a big role, but
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Okay, um, so when he comes back with that information to Rod that he can't like budge the dude, he really tries to make him toe the line, basically, and he literally straight up tells him, "I am not going to dance." You know.
This is the help me help you scene, isn't it?
Yes, that's the help me help you.
Yeah.
And that's what when he basically laughs at him, is like, you know what? You're a desperate motherfucker, but you're a funny dude. Um, he laughs, and I think he also says something to the effect. That's why I'm still with you, dude, or whatnot. But he doesn't get the fact that he's joking with him, you know. But yeah, he's got to figure out a way to get Rod to have a successful career. And it's hard when you got a client pushing back with his own agendas, you know.
Well, also in fairness, Rod does already have a son. There's another kid on the way, and he has a wife who takes even less shit than he does.
And she wants him to quit, if I remember correctly.
Well, she wants him to demand what he's worth, and she has very high standards for what he's worth.
I mean, he has a point when it looks at this, is that he's looking at, and he makes the speech like, I'm looking at 10 years tops.
Mm-hmm.
That's in a good season. I got to make sure that in that time I make enough money to be good for life.
Yeah.
And that's why I've got to get this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he should get what he's worth per se, but he also should be able to control his own damn mouth, you know, to a certain degree. He is very. He's definitely a fun character. That don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of boastfulness and that kind of is not helping his career any at all.
Right.
So that's what he his agent is trying to help him understand, and I don't think he entirely still gets it either towards the end either.
I think
another thing
some of his outbursts. Well, I think some of his outbursts and stuff are. I don't want to say anything bad against the wife, but she's like in charge.
Yeah.
She puts him in his place a lot. And I think some of his outbursts is his way of breaking out when she's not around,
Right.
Type of thing.
I get that.
I think also as far as his issue with renegotiating the contract, one thing that's interesting about Rod that unfortunately I think his the team owner seems to be probably taking advantage of this, is that Rod plays for Arizona. He plays for Arizona. He wants to stay in Arizona. That is very important to him and his family. And it probably cuts down a little bit on his negotiating ability, because a lot of these players will probably just be like, I just up and go somewhere else,
Well,
So
in order
yeah.
to be a professional player, you have to be open to being traded to other states
Right.
and things, and be an easy accommodator when it comes to moving to another state too. You know?
Right. And that probably, again, it's one, it could be read in one of two ways, either loyalty to the team or a stubborn insistence on not being easily accommodating, one or the other. And but like I said, it also probably reads to the people paying his paycheck of, oh, well, we don't have to offer him more because he won't accept a contract from someone else. You
And
know,
if
so
he's not forwarding the team or helping the
yeah,
team
right,
reach their full potential, why
right,
should we pay more money for bullshit? You know?
exactly. And they still offered him a lot. Like I saw, I didn't fully catch it myself watching or listening to it, but like they broke down the numbers on one of these things I looked at that said it was something like the total contract they were offering was something like 1.3, 1.4 million over 4 years, 3 years. I can't remember how long it was. To most people, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And even
And
even if you're
you're
talking something,
talking 1996 now.
yeah. And I
It's
was going to say,
now
even if you're
20
talking
years.
setting,
It's now like 20 years later.
yeah. But even if you're talking, I need something to set us up for the rest of our lives, that's not an insignificant sum. But it frankly is nowhere near what his teammates were making, and apparently, but
No.
yeah. So, but I got to admit, I wouldn't mind being offered 1.3 million for the next 3 years of my job. you know, that
So as bro moments happen, bro
Mhm.
moments do.
Mhm.
And there is a moment where Jerry and Rod disagree
Mhm.
and kind of go their separate ways for a moment. But also, well, not entirely, because he comes back later at that game or whatnot. But they have a tiff, you know.
Mhm.
He keeps telling him that he should have this talk with um Dorothy. The talk that explains that that where the love is, or what kind of love it is,
Mhm.
and he keeps brushing it off.
Well, I think
And
this
they
is.
get married and everything,
Well,
and he still hasn't entirely told her that
I
he
think
loves her.
isn't this after? I think they have like that dinner where they go out with Rod and his
Yes.
wife, and it's like the two of them are really lovey-dovey and all into each other. And meanwhile, Jerry and Dorothy are kind of like, should we be doing that? Kind of like it's becoming increasingly clear to pretty much everyone that Jerry really, really, really likes Dorothy and Ray,
Yeah.
but they're not really sure it's love. And
And the
Rod
babysitter ends up giving him a tape, which I thought that this tape was cool because it's evidently like a rare album where Johnny
yeah,
Coltrane and Miles Davis actually got together. And he said, "Play this during that time that
no, before that, he tries to do serious talk with Jerry, and he's like, okay, well,
Well, you could tell that this is dated because he pulled out a tape. You know.
Yeah, cassettes were not much of a thing before long.
No,
They
CDs were definitely the next thing. So, although I do remember having tapes.
I was going to say cassettes were still a thing in '96.
Oh yeah,
but they weren't.
Maybe not as strong in my life, but
CDs were there. I got the first CD. The first CD I ever got was Alan Jackson's Greatest Hits, and that was released in '94 or '95. I think '95.
My first CD was Weird Al's Greatest Hits, the Food album.
My first CD was Judas Priest.
So basically, my point being that I would have probably had my first 2 or 3 CDs when this movie came out. So cassettes were definitely still a thing.
I still had a ton of cassettes. There was a couple record stores in town that would sell like unused CDs, and that's how I started converting all of my tapes into CDs. But I had a ton of tapes.
Yeah, I
had singles too.
But so this is one of the ways that we know the movie's 30 years old.
A friend of mine gave me a CD player that he had an all-in-one stereo system, and he had gotten this as a present, and I had the components for my stereo system. So he gave me his CD player. That was, it was just play a single one. It didn't have where you could put 6 CDs at a time or this or that. It just was one. And he gave
I remember multi-disc players were a big thing when I first.
So that's why that I went out and the very first CD I bought was Judas Priest, because I like the song Turbo Lover. And it was funny because I hooked all this stuff up to my stereo, and I had that equalizer on my stereo that had the 10 band on each side with all the lights. So I get this all hooked up and everything, and I put this on. I didn't realize that CDs were a little bit louder and a little bit more powerful than tapes. I put the song on, turned it up to where you normally do with the cassette. It went, shit, that's loud.
Dope.
Completely random thought just occurred to me, and I can't believe this didn't occur to me before. It is interesting that we all picked movies from the 90s. Isn't that something? But,
yeah, just a little bit. But that being said,
and actually, I think they're in 2-year increments, because wasn't it Troll in Central Park '94?
Yeah.
So yeah, we had 92, 94, 96, and 98. Interesting.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, date night happened. And
she's got this really nice dress, and he shows up work casual.
Am I dressed okay?
Well, and they did, in fairness, I think they did originally think it was going to be like a sort of business thing, or at least that's what they were telling themselves.
Well, she said that she dressed up because it's a night out for her, so she wanted to dress up,
He was dressed like normal clothes.
Right.
Yeah. I feel a little underdressed.
Right.
But where was it that they went? Because I know she's the one who said, "I know a place."
Well,
Some
wherever it was,
Mexican
they had a.
restaurant.
I was going to say they had a mariachi band.
Oh yeah, that's right. And the mariachi band ended up showing up at to play for their wedding.
Right.
Obviously, they went for Chinese.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the fortune cookie that said, "Show me the money."
You know, after this movie, there were fortune cookies with that. You know that's a thing.
Made specifically from Jerry Maguire quotes. Yeah. Special edition, by the way.
Right.
But in any case, so it was a successful date that we know of.
Right.
But there's something that is not exactly popping for them, and that is a paycheck for from Jerry to her, and she's got to start thinking about other means. And her sister is kind of the one that's helping push her towards this other job in a totally different state.
Mm-hmm.
And she's all packed up, ready to go. Kids in the in the moving truck and everything. And the sister's looking out the windows, saying, "Okay, just tell goodbye, get in the truck, don't stop and say too much." Well, she does, and the kid says something to the fact that, you know, you're leaving us, or you're letting us go. Basically, you're letting us get away. Is basically what the kid said, and that basically guilt trips you just a little bit. It may not be the entire reason why he springs the "what would you do if I said I want said will you marry me" kind of thing, and she's like, "Only say it if you really mean it," you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so he says it again, and they end up she ends up saying yes and agreeing, and they do get married. And of course, Rod shows up to the wedding. He's singing off key and everything. Definitely an off color moment.
Yep. I believe Jerry says he's going to offer that video to ESPN or something.
Yeah. But in any case, but this is when Rod starts telling him that he should have the talk with her about love, because she has definitely told him that she loves him.
Well, he stumbles upon that private conversation between
Yeah, he does.
the date between her and her sister about that. So he finds out that she's in love with him first.
Oh yeah, and that's a way.
That was like the morning after their date,
That
I
was the
think.
first date.
It's like the two of them are in the kitchen, they're having their talk, and he wakes up and he hears them and freezes in the hall and just kind of And then I think Ray gives him away if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. And he comes into the kitchen and says things that let them know exactly how much of the conversation he heard. And it's like,
And
yeah.
that's another kid moment too, because they share a bowl of Apple Jacks.
Yeah.
I remember Applejack.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
But in any case, he never exactly has that love talk with her, and so there is this moment where Rod tells Jerry, "Hey, why is it that that you're not home? Why don't you want to go home? Didn't you just get married, man? You know, those kind of questions."
I think that was the part where the two of them kind of had a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, that is when they did.
Yeah.
And I do remember her leaving him.
Well, they do eventually have the talk, and she's the one that initiates it. She's like, I don't think you and I really are on the same page here.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
She it's in the backyard that they have that talk.
Mm-hmm.
She basically tells him, "I don't want to be. I'm not built this way."
Mm-hmm.
So she basically walks away, and they distance themselves from each other at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair and honest, I think the distance is needed for him to
Oh yeah.
kind of realize everything, and he ends up showing up to next to Rod right after Cushman is trying to wheel and deal his fucking shit with Rod, and when Jerry shows up, he's like, "I'm glad to see you."
Cushman's pretty much gone at this point.
But or not Cushman, the guy
Sugar?
that's Sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar, who's trying to whisper that the sweet nothings in Rod's ear, trying to bring him over to the dark
Try
side.
to give him some sugar.
Yeah. But in a case, so this game is huge, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly. In fact, I think it's yeah, it is. And if they win,
yeah,
that's good. It was said that they could that they couldn't win before the game even happened or whatnot. There was also chat about what if they did,
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think this is the game where he keeps getting roughly sacked.
Yeah.
And each one seems to get more aggressive as it goes on. And then there is another sack that happens, and he doesn't get up. Rod does not get up for like a moment.
Well,
He's
bro, the one that knocks
unconscious.
him out, the one that knocks him out wasn't him getting sacked. It was him. He caught the touchdown pass, and
He
then
came down hard.
they bum rushed him like in the end zone.
He came down hard, like on his,
Not just bum rushed him. I saw the
Yeah.
player actually pushed him down.
It
You
was
could
a rough
see it happen.
It was a rough landing. Yeah.
But he
Yeah,
he hit his head, and of course,
Mhm.
you know, the wife, she gets a phone call from Jerry, because Jerry actually runs all the way down there.
Well, after they cut the feed on the TV, and then of course you hear the commentators, and I think it was probably Al Michaels. You hear, "God, I hope his family's not watching right now," and it's like,
Of course they
it's
were.
like
I know. When he said that, it's like, you really think his family's not watching this game at home, dude? Really?
right. But yeah, that's
And you know, his family's interesting characters too, because the one kid, whether it's his cousin or whatnot, he's got a lip on him.
you talking TP?
Yeah.
Apparently TP's like his brother. I
Okay.
think they said it. Yeah.
Evidently, he's got some commentary that the wife doesn't like.
Right.
And his son is definitely swearing up a storm, and she's like, you better quit.
Well, I don't know about swearing up a storm, but he does say something. He does talk about that mofo.
Yeah.
and then she lays down the law for him right then and there.
Right.
Go and touch your daddy before he leaves the screen.
That was cute. He goes up and kisses him on the screen, which is cute.
Right.
We went over where they were. I may have missed it, but we did go over right before that game, where basically Jerry and Renee Zellweger's character break it off, and they're talking about even getting a quick divorce in the meantime, because he's not able to be completely there for her. He's at least not mentally and emotionally, because there's always something blocking that for him.
Oh, so that's what those papers were.
Yeah.
Papers. I'm missing something.
When she was laying down the papers, she was trying to get him ready to divorce, talking about separation, and then moving on with that.
Well, yeah, I heard that. It's like I didn't remember any real
She
talk.
had a packet of papers when she spoke to him right then and there in the backyard. I guess I hadn't like quite put two and two together with that, but now that you mentioned it, Brandon, now I understand. She was basically trying to divorce his butt. But that might have been a pushed on thing from the sister. So
yeah.
And I remember the sister saying, "You fuck this up, I'll kill you."
Yeah.
But
she said that early on.
Yeah, she said that early on.
But
was that right after the wedding, or was that before? I think that was
it was right after. After it was when they were cleaning up or whatnot.
Yeah,
but,
I think that was it. Yeah.
But okay, so Jerry's on the phone with the wife, and she's like, "You got to give me something. I'm dying here. I've got to know what's happening with my husband." You know, so unfortunately, he's still unconscious, so there's not a whole lot going on. Suddenly, he wakes up, and to the people around him, he's like, "Let me enjoy this for a moment.
Yeah. And then he gets up and starts doing a dance that would get red flag after red flag thrown at him.
I mean, that's pretty impressive for somebody who probably nearly almost died just a minute ago. Because you look at that fall on the replay, he hit his freaking neck hard right there.
Which I think one of the commentators said something to that effect, but yeah. But yeah, and it turns out that it was basically the game-winning play because they were down to the wire, and I was like,
and he goes up into to the stands and does something with the fans and whatnot. It's basically like a fuck you to the other team.
But Jerry is able to then spin this into a negotiation where he's able to get the contract. And the funny thing is afterwards, all the reporters are of course on him because he's the big hero that saved the game.
Well, and he's on an interview on TV, and when he hears about the new contract.
Well, yeah, and let's well, I mean, and I'm talking about like in the locker room afterwards, where Jerry basically gives him the nod, like, okay, I hear you, Jerry, I hear you.
And you know what? I think the reporter is actually interviewing one of the other players, and he's butt ass naked in the locker room.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, when he went and jumped around and everything after he came to from that hit, you know, he did what Jerry told him to do. Basically, he showed his fans his appreciation.
Yeah,
that's what Jerry told him to do. He said, "That's how you're going to get everything. You have to."
And that was actually one thing I don't think we mentioned earlier was Jerry straight up called him a paycheck player. He's like, right now, you are a paycheck player. You know, you have no heart, basically. So him jumping up into the stands and stuff, definitely, that was demonstrating the heart. Well, and Terry said, like, in your personal life, you're all heart. You need to do that on the field, you know, that sort of thing. So it was like, but in the locker room, we had, first of all, Rod does acknowledge Jerry, and basically they kind of help each other get out of the wilderness in that moment, you might say. Bob, of course, tries to poach him and fails miserably.
I do like that Kush actually is there, and he's like, "Hey, why aren't you getting me people like? Why aren't you as close as he is, as they are?" And he's like, and Sugar's trying to like do this awkward hug thing because of the. I did that.
And then we see there are a lot of cameos in that sequence. I mean, I already mentioned we have Al Michaels announcing, you know, but we have that scene where Jerry meets an old colleague of his, and he's like, you know, Troy, you know, he's standing right next to Troy Aikman, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, so it's like it like I said, it's sort of showing Jerry's back from the wilderness, basically.
Yep.
It's like, so.
But also he sees how Rod is with his I think his wife is actually there now. I think she's shown up. And the way that he is acting towards her that kind of reminds Jerry of what he needs to do yet with his wife. And
is he actually there? Is she actually there, or were they talking on the phone? Because she
was actually there, I believe.
She would have had to move quick.
Yeah,
because they were at home.
He was doing something to someone. There, because that's when Jerry walked away, and that's when we see the man haters gathered together.
Yeah,
and they're coaching each other into, you know, it seems like they're gearing up to hate on men just a little bit more, and that's when Dorothy pipes up and said, "Yeah, I know they're the enemy, but and I think that's when Jerry walks in, and he's like, "I'm looking for, excuse me, I'm looking for my wife." And he goes into his somewhat of a speech, and all the ladies, after hearing what he says, are all teared up. You know, and of course that's when we get the line, "You had me at hello." You know?
Which apparently Renee Zellweger thought that was a really weird line. She had to come around to it.
And now it's one of the more famous lines in film.
Right.
It's actually kind of funny how it works like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I read something about that the other day. Well, I mentioned earlier that they directly reference this movie in The Dark Knight. But I read something the other day that apparently, Chris Nolan wrote the movie with his brother, and Jonathan Nolan apparently is the one who wrote the line that Harvey Dent has, that you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. And apparently Christopher Nolan thought it was a silly line. And now everyone loves that line, and he's like, "Man, I kind of wish I'd written that." It's funny how you say that. But
It's funny how some of the cheesiest moments are some of the hits of of that decade, or whatnot, or of that moment, or classic lines now,
Right.
But in any case, so it does look like Jerry's. Oh, and then we get the last moment with the kid where a ball was hit over a baseball diamond, and he throws it over, and he basically throws it beyond them, and even the kids are like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And that's when Jerry turns to Dorothy and is like, "Hey, I think we've got got a star in the making here."
He's like, "No." Yeah.
We got to prepare his career. And she's rolling her eyes and shrugging her shoulders or whatever. But,
right.
But and then I think there are a couple of people who step up and ask for Jerry Maguire to be their agent or whatnot a little bit before that. So, but other than that, I think that's pretty much the movie. So,
yeah.
Did we want to go into production?
Well, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different backdrops and placements throughout the film, and that does take money and time. Costume design is fairly decent,
but you better be able to show it.
One thing that I thought was pretty funny, I saw a blurb on IMDb, and I don't know how fully accurate this is, but apparently there was a lot of Reebok product placement in the film. And when they saw how Reebok was referred to and treated in the film, they got kind of miffed and threatened legal action, if I'm not mistaken, because of that.
A lot,
but yeah,
but they should be cool with it all because it's free advertisement.
and actually, one of the other bonus features, I don't know if anyone found this on or watched it. One of the other bonus features on my copy was, I think it was labeled Rod Tidwell's first commercial, and it's a Reebok commercial.
Yeah.
It's like it was pretty interesting. It was like,
I know
and
he
it's,
referenced Reebok. He was like, no, never again.
but anyway, no, I think it was. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, they do talk about the world of advertising and sponsorship definitely does play a role in the plot here. At one point, they try to get Rod to do a local car dealership commercial that involved a live camel, and he was not having that.
Oh no,
And
not at all.
apparently the camel was. Apparently, a lot of people didn't like that camel. But
Well,
That camel didn't look like he was very happy to be there.
right.
I think
But,
the production was pretty decent too. I mean, it definitely you saw a lot of things of that time period. Was definitely and just even the dress, so then like the cassette tape,
mhm.
even when you were watching the game, from the perspective that you were watching it, that's not how the game is televised nowadays is a lot different than that,
Yeah.
So, but I think they did a good job. Like Brandon said, they had a lot of different venues that they were at. A lot of different scenes. So I think they did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. What about you, Brandon?
That's pretty much what I need to say about production.
Okay. As far as production, I guess it was okay. It definitely showed a little bit of the background of, a little bit of the cutthroat aspect of being a sports agent.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, and I guess I saw how some of the famous phrases were invented, and turns out "You Have Me at Hello" originates from here. I looked it up. So I thought that maybe like it might have been in one of the Silver Screen movies, but no. But
interesting sideline to that. A couple years later, Kenny Chesney put out the song "You Had Me from Hello," which was inspired by that line. And then he and Zellweger got married a few years later and annulled the marriage after a few months.
Well, it's funny when we were watching it when the catchphrases came up.
Yeah.
I said things to David. I said, "See, this is where this comes from. This is where this comes from."
Right.
I think a lot of times when you look at it. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
No, go ahead.
I'm saying a lot of times when you haven't watched something like this, your mind is like, well, this can't be where that comes from. I've watched so many other things that this is in.
Right.
Or you've heard something similar and you're like, that can't be from this movie. Can it?
It's like I've said, when I first finally sat down and watched Casablanca, I was like, I have already seen this entire movie because so much of the movie is referenced in so many other movies and TV shows. It's like I already knew the entire script, even though I'd never seen it before. This one, I will say, as far as the script goes, again, it is a Cameron Crowe film, and I've not seen enough of his. Well, I've not seen all of his movies. I need one of those. You haven't seen the movies. For me, I've never seen Say Anything. So that was his first movie as a director. I never saw Singles. There's a couple others, but I've seen most of them.
I don't think I've seen Singles.
One thing that is and apparently one of the inspirations for this film was how little love he got for Singles, because he got so much love for writing Fast Times. He got so much love for Say Anything, and then Singles kind of flopped. And apparently, you know that phrase, you know who your friends are? He was feeling that after that movie, and that was part of the inspiration for this one. So,
maybe this doesn't help, but I did for the longest time see copies of Singles at Dollar Tree for like quite a while.
for Singles at the time, but probably not anymore.
Yeah,
But one thing I want to say is, again, I've seen Fast Times, I've seen Almost Famous, Vanilla Sky, Elizabethtown, We Bought a Zoo, Aloha. Aloha had some really unfortunate casting kerfuffle that went along with it. But one thing that his movies have in common, two things that his movies have in common. They do have some very clever, solid writing. And the character development tends to be very solid. And we talked a little bit before about the main characters, but in this one, the side characters don't just feel like cut out characters. Like most of them feel like there's more than what's on the page. And like I said, there probably was. Like I said, he wrote out that entire mission statement. He probably did write out backstories for some of the characters.
I do sort of wish we might have gotten a little bit more of a backstory about Jerry's character. Just a little bit, because the way he almost talked about his father made me feel like there was something there. You know,
it could be. We did get a fair bit of his background, but not as much. The mission statement, there were a lot of specific time and date things about his background. A lot of that didn't make it into the final movie, but there is a lot of background in that mission statement that didn't actually end up on screen. So I can say for sure that backstory was written out.
Okay.
But yeah. But anyway.
Alrighty. Did we want to talk about the music at all?
Well, the music is excellent.
Yeah.
He had a couple of, I'm trying to remember. I want to say if I'm remembering correctly, that he was married at the time to Nancy Wilson, and I think she wrote the music, but I'm wanting to confirm that.
Well, the main song is done by Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, Secret Garden was an original song by Springsteen. Yeah, Nancy Wilson of Heart, she's the one that did the music. But you had Springsteen doing Secret Garden. He did the video for it. There's also a song called Wise Up that Amy Mann wrote for the movie, and it's barely in the movie. But 3 years later, she did the soundtrack to Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia, which starred Tom Cruise. And there's a scene where Cruise sings along, as does most of the cast, sing along to that song. So that is kind of an interesting connection between two Tom Cruise movies there. But, she got an Oscar nod for Save Me for that film. I didn't realize that Wise Up was written for a movie. It just wasn't written for that movie. You know? But
yeah,
pretty cool. And I like I'm just a random bit of trivia too. I like that Amy Mann is local. I don't know where she lives right now, but she was born and raised apparently in the neighborhood, one of the neighborhoods that is very close to where we are. So that's kind of a hometown hometown child, you might say.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Anyone else have anything that they want to say about the music?
Mm.
It's one of those soundtracks that I feel is a really solid soundtrack. I'm not sure whether I would buy it on disc, but I would not hold it against anybody who did, because it's got a lot of those found songs, I guess you could say.
It's not quite as full of bangers as Almost Famous, which I do have that soundtrack. And I want to say I might have the Elizabethtown soundtrack as well.
Yeah, Almost Famous. Another one I haven't watched in a long time.
Yeah. There was one scene I want to mention because it was really cool. There was a scene where Jerry's in the car. I think it's right after he talks to Cush and his father. And he puts on the radio, and I think it's Angel of the Morning is the song that's playing when he turns it on. And he kind of flips through a couple of songs, and he lands on Free Fallin', which of course is an awesome song to begin with.
Yeah.
He is just rocking out in the car. He is just rocking out to Tom Petty.
Yeah.
But it's appropriate because he doesn't realize it, but he is free falling at that moment. He doesn't think he is, but he is.
But we realize it, so we realize that song actually is perfect for that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I did get a primer for this. I did not expect it or plan on it, and it didn't even occur to me until I was watching the movie. But that video for Secret Garden is on the Springsteen collection that I watched last December. So I actually had that video fresh in my mind. I had just forgotten about it. And of course that was also a bonus feature. So I watched the video again right after the movie. But and it's a nice song. It's a very nice song. But I was like, huh, isn't that something? Yeah.
Okay. Then moving on to favorite scenes and our favorite characters. So let's start with you, Brandon.
Well, I mean, my favorite scene is the whole "show me the money" scene where he's having to say you love, this stuff, and he's doing this, and you can see all those people looking on, what the heck is he doing? I thought that was great. As far as favorite character, I'd say the little kid at that point, because the one with the glasses, because he stole the show with cuteness the whole time.
Okay. What about you, Tammy?
It's a toss-up. I mean, I agree with Brandon that the Ray is adorable, and he basically, he stole every scene he was in. He's just adorable. But I'm gonna go off a little left field here. I like Rod. I just like how he is just so off the wall. He's just so, out there. I just get a kick out of him. I guess my favorite scene, I think, is, well, I do like the one that Jake just brought up about when Tom Cruise is singing in the car like that, and that's really good. I think that was a really good scene. But I like it when Rod woke up after being tackled and he just went crazy, because I'm never gonna dance, and I'm not gonna do this, and I'm not gonna do that. He just does everything, and he just, and it's so, I think it's just so cool. He just lets it all out, he gets the fans all going and everything, just like what Jerry was telling him to do, So Okay.
Alrighty. What about you, Jake?
Well, first of all, I was just reminded of something. We totally forgot that we totally forgot about, or I think we forgot. I don't think we mentioned Rod's obsession with a term that he came up with, the Quan.
Yeah.
And apparently, Cameron Crowe thought that was going to be a catchphrase, and it wasn't really, you know. Although another phrase that I'm surprised never came a catchphrase. Cuba Gooding Jr. claimed that women come up to him all the time to say, "My boyfriend never shoplifts the pudding."
Nah.
But anyway, my favorite character is probably Dorothy. I like her. She's very a fun character. I like Ray. I will admit, I used to not like Jonathan Lipnicki. He used to annoy me. And I feel like this movie, he wasn't really annoying so much as just cute. Like he was pure cute. And it's fun. It is good.
He grabs both of their hands, starts swinging from the hands.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And as far as
I like when they were doing the little fax thing in the car.
Yeah, well apparently that human head is 8 pounds thing was something that Lipnicki just said unscripted, like unsolicited. He just said it. And Cameron Crowe liked it so much, he's like, I'm going to have him say that in the movie. That was like, you know. So, and the scene...
I can't compete with that.
The scene where Cruz shows up drunk and him and Ray are sitting and bonding, apparently that scene was unscripted. It was all just the two of them ad-libbing. And it worked out pretty well, you know. So... that's pretty solid. As far as favorite scenes, I do want to say, what is my favorite scene? There's a few good ones. I guess the scene where I won't say it's a favorite scene, but like as far as a scene I remember is the scene where Jerry finds out that Cush's father sold him out. And that's just like, it's a really memorable scene. And I think it was well done. But as far as favorite scenes, I don't know why I'm having trouble narrowing it down. You know, maybe some of the scenes with Rod, I guess, because those were pretty good. Just the interaction between them, I thought, worked really well. I'm sure I'll think of something when we're done. I don't know why I can't think of one that I want to put out as a favorite.
Okay.
There's a lot of good scenes. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of good scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ray is my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite scene is when Ray picks up the phone and it's Rod.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty.
That was pretty great. That was pretty great. And then he put the phone down and hung up on his ass.
And the whole time, Jerry's just sitting there kind of laughing.
Yeah. I just get a kick out of every scene that Ray shows up in. That's why I think the film is underrated for Ray's stolen scenes. Ray's the real talent in this movie. I feel. Although Cuba Gooding Jr., he's a good actor. I have to give him props. He made me feel like he was annoyed, and his character was annoying to me. It was the most annoying character in the whole entire film. But
Maybe that's why I like him so much. He reminds me of you.
no.
Well, I don't know. I was pretty annoyed by Bob Sugar.
I was Sugar was just an asshole.
You know, I could have seen Woody Harrelson in that role as well.
You know, it's funny you say that because right now I'm looking at the scene on IMDb. They say Woody Harrelson was offered the role of Jerry Maguire, and he said to producer James L. Brooks, nobody's going to give a shit about an agent. And of course, they ended up competing against each other that year for Best Actor. Cruise for this movie and Woody Harrelson for The People versus Larry Flynn. Which is interesting. No one's going to give a shit about a sports agent, so I'm going to play the guy that started Hustler.
Which was a good movie, but it was.
Oh, it was.
But
I've actually not seen that movie.
I'm waiting for Arrow's release. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
I have not seen The People versus Larry Flynn yet.
Oh, good one. Not one I would necessarily say is like a. I can't believe you haven't seen that, but definitely a good film.
Okay,
Well,
another one that I haven't seen is I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
Well, it's from the same director as Amadeus, and Amadeus would be one of those.
Oh, yeah, well,
Amadeus I have seen.
You should say yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's good times.
Okay, so that being said, does anyone else have anything else to add when it comes to character or favorite scenes? Alrighty. Then I do believe that that is the end of our discussion. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen the movie, go out and see it. I now have. Glad that I saw it. There were some scenes that were memorable. Figured out where some important phrases came from. Now I know. So I'm one movie down on movies that I haven't seen. So that is a plus to the whole thing. But like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film, what you thought of our discussion. And I guess are we starting a new month?
Getting ready to.
We're
going back.
Do we know what our theme is for this next month?
Yeah, we're getting ready.
Next month is awesomely August 80s.
And I think I'm going to choose Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, you're going back to your old one?
Good times.
Big, so we'll be replacing that one then.
Okay. Well, that's good. I need an excuse to watch my copy. I've watched my copy of Big.
What's the year that one came out?
Fast Times was 82, I think. 82 or 83.
I think I start next month off, right?
Actually, I'll tell y'all what I've got down, and if y'all need to change it, this is a bit last minute, but the very last week of the month, we've got our day off. We were taking that off because I won't be there, and it's a 5th Monday. Then we're ending it with Dave with it was Big, but now it's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then Jake with his An American Tale. Tammy is second, actually, because you were the second person to. I usually put them in order of first person who says something goes first. Which you're second, and that was batteries not included.
Hmm.
And then next week would be the one that I picked because I threw it out first, because I knew exactly what I wanted this month, which was UHF.
That's right.
So all 80s. We got 89, 87, 86, and then going way back to 82. So in a way, we're going back in time, as the Back to the Future song would say.
I just
Everybody
thought
good with theirs?
Thought it'd be something fun. So that's why I picked that as my month thing. So.
Well, it looks like we've got it all locked in. No takesies backsies after this point.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Sorry that I changed, but for some reason, because I haven't seen that one, I want to cover it. So and I have seen Big. So
Good times.
In fact, I've seen Big over and over, including the Twilight Zone episode where Mickey Rooney says, "I'm big, I'm big." But anyways, enough comedy.
But yep,
Hopefully you
UHF.
Hopefully you, ladies and gentlemen, have enjoyed yourselves. Everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night.